Hi friends, Pete Estabrook here. Today we're going to cover some additional points from Chapter 11 on constructing contrapuntal melodies. Regarding the beginning of your melody, if you're starting on a 1 chord, you can begin with any chord tone. If you're starting on a 5 chord, go ahead and begin with any chord tone except the leading tone, or the third of that chord. You can really end your phrases with any sort of cadence. The only caveat is that your final cadence, when it ends on a 1 chord, you probably don't want 5 in the melody. The thing regarding cadences, just make sure that your final cadence is a stronger one than the half cadence. As far as chord tones, at this point in time with this style of writing, we want every melody note to correspond to a chord. In other words, everything is a chord tone. Only root position and first inversion triads will be used at this point in time. Just make sure that you only have consonant intervals. So thirds, sixths, roots, or unisons, fifths, and octaves. Avoid fourths because they're considered dissonant in this style. You want to try to avoid unisons except at the very beginning and end of the melody. Generally speaking, we want to have a predominance of consonant intervals, or in other words, imperfect consonant intervals like third and sixth, as opposed to perfect consonant intervals like unisons, fifths, and octaves. Although you can use those, you want to use them somewhat more sparingly. If you happen to be writing in minor, you can feel comfortable changing the harmony to accommodate the melodic minor scale, so you may need to alter some chord qualities from major to minor or vice versa. It also gives us the caveat that if we're writing a melody over a 1, 6, 4, 6, or 5, 6, in other words, first inversion chords for those primary harmonies, we want to avoid doubling the melody and bass. One word about static motion. If one voice repeats a note, the other voice should move. Well, imperfect consonances are fine. Just avoid using more than 3 in a row if possible. Remember that if you arrive at a fifth or octave relationship between melody and bass, that you want to make sure that the upper voice arrives there by step rather than leap. You want to avoid voice crossing. In other words, don't let your melody pass below the bass line at any point. Similar to voice crosses are overlapping voices where a voice passes above or below where the previous voice just was. I think that's all I'll say on this particular video. I'll come back and put my 2 cents in terms of how I feel about diatonic harmony and how it functions, and some other subject matter like chord notation, chord terminology, etc., so that hopefully we can get you maybe just a little bit expanded beyond the limitations of what Kafka is saying, and maybe open up your perspective just a little bit beyond that, so that you don't feel too terribly confined and like there's a lot of I can'ts and I can't do this and I can't do that and this is not okay and that sort of thing. So I just want to kind of be there to broaden your perspective a little bit. So I'll revisit these various subjects in the coming weeks. A brief word of encouragement. You're doing a great job. Thanks for hanging in there and sticking with it, especially at this time of COVID. And I wish you, the best. And I'm here to encourage and help you, and just help you do the best that you can this semester on your various projects and your assignments. So if you run into any difficulties, don't hesitate to shoot me an email. I know we're operating out of sync with each other asynchronously, but I'll certainly do what I can to make contact with you and maintain contact with you.